The Royals swept the Texas Rangers this week on the road. Huge series. Caglianone hits his first couple homers. Michael stays hot. The pitching was great. An entirely different conversation tonight than what we've had over the last couple of episodes. Live right now, One Royal Way. Let's have some fun. We're back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We are live on Thursday night, as we always are on YouTube. Make sure if you are watching this right now, you're subscribed and you like the video. It's going to help more people see it. Make sure if you're listening to this on the audio platforms that you are subscribed over there, and hit those notification bells on all platforms so that you know when these episodes go live. And we can't thank Emprise Bank enough for sponsoring this show. Member FDIC, our partners in Possible here at Kansas City Sports Network. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. As I mentioned off the top here, the vibe is very different today than it was on Sunday in the previous episode there, coming off that abysmal home stand where you get swept by the Yankees, you get swept by the A's. The Royals get off the mat in Texas to start this 6-game roadie, sweeping the Texas Rangers, taking care of business, and now they're on to San Diego to see if they can keep this thing rolling. And one thing we talked about on Sunday and a little bit on Tuesday night after that game, what is this team made of? We're going to find out. Obviously, they played some terrible baseball at home. Would they be able to find a way to turn it around? Did that players-only meeting make a difference? Well, something happened between Sunday and that flight and getting to the ballpark on Tuesday in Texas that maybe things have turned in the other direction. And, the vibes are kind of back. The team is rolling a little bit. The offense got going in the first 2 games, some home runs today, even if it wasn't the best offensive performance. But overall, it's hard to be upset in any way with what we've seen from this team over the last 3 days. They pitched their ass off. All 3 games were fantastic. They did enough hitting. Your superstars came through. Your young superstar gets off the schneid and gets his first 2 big league homers. We'll talk about Jac later. So I'll talk about these 2 games, some different spotlight players as I've watched over the last couple of days, and then talk a little bit about this series with the Padres coming up, and we'll go from there. Win on Wednesday 6-3, and it looked kind of inauspicious to begin with Chris Bubic giving up 2 runs in that first inning. Now, he gives up those 2 runs when he had a strikeout of Adolis Garcia that didn't get called. It was a strike, 2-run score on 2 pitches later, but Bubic was able to bounce back after that. He gives up another run in the 4th. It was not his best stuff. He was in the zone. It was definitely a control over command type game. What I mean by that is Bubic was in the zone and around the zone very consistently, but he wasn't commanding the ball well in the zone. Very hittable with his fastball, left some breaking balls up. Those were really, they scattered 9 hits off and only got 3 runs. So if you want to look at it that way, like he was able to get away from damage pretty regularly, kind of dance through the raindrops a little in this one, but still overall 6 strikeouts, only the 1 walk, was just pretty hittable overall. But the whiffs that he was able to create, 19 of them in 5 1/3. And how many were 13 of them were on the changeup. He had that thing working today. And it's the way he's reshaped that pitch over the last couple of years, right, is incredibly impressive. Then it's a little firmer now. It gets a little more, bite to it. And they couldn't touch it. The Rangers had 0 answers for it. On the offensive side, your top of the order, your a couple of guys here break out in a big way. Michael had a fantastic game. 3 for 4, 4 RBIs, comes up a double short of the cycle. And I mentioned it earlier today, and people have started to come around to it. Obviously, he has been so consistent all year long, one of the most consistent hitters that this team has. And he is somewhere in the range of the 2nd to 4th best third baseman in baseball right now. He should be an all-star. When you look at the categories and where he's at. So just among all qualified Major League third basemen, and I tweeted this earlier today. If you go over to my social media on Twitter, you'll see it. But he's second in batting average. He's second in on base, fourth in slug, third in weighted runs created plus, ninth in ISO. But that's not his game. Weighted on base average, which looks at the quality of your contact. He's second, fourth lowest K percentage, second in solo base, and he's third in wins above replacement. In just the American League, it's second, third, second, fifth, second, third lowest, second on all of those categories. So it's basically him and Jose Ramirez in a lot of these categories. The only guys that have an argument that they are a better third baseman in baseball right now offensively is Jose Ramirez, who is one of the most underrated players in the sport and is a top 7 player at worst, and a healthy Alex Bregman. That's your argument right now when it comes to third baseman in baseball. The turnaround is just remarkable for Maikel Garcia from what we saw last season. I mean, mentioned it ad nauseum at this point. He was the worst qualified hitter in baseball last year, the 69 weighted runs created plus. After today, he's slashing 313, 372, 493 with a 140 weighted runs created plus. Supermo, 4 walks each in the last 2 games as well. Nice supplements to the extra base hits. The whole offensive approach was so refreshing. Yeah, everybody was really impressive and kind of broke out a little bit in this series. And we talked about obviously the home run Bobby hit and Salvi getting a couple on Tuesday, and that kind of got things going as well. But Maikel just keeps getting better. And there was a part of me, maybe cynically or just when you see a player that was as poor as Maikel was for most of last season, you just kind of wonder, like, okay, when's the other shoe going to drop here? Like, when is this going to turn? And he's just going to be a good player, like a above average player, right? Like a 100 to 110 guy, or maybe 90 to 105, somewhere in that range. And that still would have been a good outcome for this team, considering what he was the year before. Instead, he's one of the best players in the sport right now and should be representing the Royals in Atlanta here next month. One of probably 3 or 4 guys that are going to represent the Royals in the All-Star game, and he deserves that consideration. He's just not talked about enough nationally for people to realize how good he actually is. So an incredibly impressive performance there. I thought the bullpen this week was fantastic. Total. Jake Eisenberg had it after the game. 9 2/3 from the bullpen in this series. 6 hits, 10 strikeouts to no walks and no runs given up. I mean, just an unbelievable performance from a bullpen that has been very good for most of this season. Obviously certain guys have had their blow-ups, but for the most part, it's been a very good unit collectively. And certain guys that were getting blown up at the beginning of the year have been better as of late, Angel Serpa being one of them. And a really clean, comfortable 8th inning today. The guy that's standing out to me is Steven Cruz, a guy that we've slowly watched develop over the last couple of years. Cup of coffee in 23, a little bit in 24, really breaking out this season. Where he pitched was what was intriguing here. So the Rangers had their 2, 3, 4 hitters coming up in the 7th on Wednesday. And at that point, it was a 4-3 game. It's getting late, 1-run game. What are you going to do? And they bring out Lucas Ursig in the 7th. And he's mostly pitched the 8th for pretty much the entire year when the Royals have had the lead since Hunter Harvey went out early in the season, in like early April. The idea being, well, at least you still have Hunter Harvey that can pitch the 8th if you need to use Ursig early. Well, they used him in the 7th. Not the best outing from Lucas, gives up a couple of hits, but gets the big-time double play, gets out of the inning, and it was still like overall good, and he's still kind of working back from the back injury. Steven Cruz comes out for the 8th and shoves. Quick inning, too. I think it was only like 7 pitches or so. I want to make sure I get that pitch count right, but 11 pitches. And one of those, and gets a strikeout there at the end. And obviously, you guys, if you've watched, the stuff. It's exploding 100-mile-an-hour fastball, the cutter off of it, the slider that just breaks like a frisbee. That's still like 93 miles an hour. Everything he throws is hard and sharp. But him going out in the 8th in a setup role, and at that point it turns to a 6-3 game, but that's still a safe situation, right? Yeah, Supermo is exactly right. Cruz is fully in the circle of trust. And that's why I was so intrigued about the way he was deployed. And he has earned those sort of high leverage situations over the years. They weren't just handing them to him. It was like, okay, hey, he's going to be kind of mop up a little bit. All right, hey, let's put him in this game, tie game or whatever. Let's go. Hey, we got a lead late. Let's give him the ball. And he's continued to impress and really hasn't gotten blown up too often this year. The ERA is 1.93. Had a couple outings where it's been rough, but for the most part this year, he's been very impressive and commands the ball well, doesn't walk a ton of guys. And, he's had a couple outings where the ball kind of sprays all over the place, but then the next outing, we don't see that again. So there's a coachability and a correctability that he has to get back in the strike zone. Where this intrigues me is, okay, Steven Cruz showed he can throw the 8th. Who knows how much longer Hunter Harvey is going to be out. Steven Cruz in a setup role allows them to use Lucas Erceg the way I think they want to, which is, hey, their middle of their order's coming up in the 7th. We need Lucas now, or whatever the case is. However, biggest outs of the game, as we've talked about on the show before, is not always in the 9th inning. It's not the last 3 outs. Sometimes the biggest 3 outs are middle of the order in the 7th inning, just like we saw on Wednesday. Lucas Erceg can go and get those outs. And then you have the trust of Steven Cruz to keep the game close, pass the baton off to Carlos Estevez and go win a game. So we've seen some shifts in how the bullpen is being used this year. And now Steven Cruz going from kind of an afterthought at the beginning of the year to one of your most trusted guys is a development that I was not expecting. Royals Data Dugout with a great tidbit here. Cruz's zone rates up a full 10% from AAA last year to 60%. Learned he can just hit the plate and guys can't touch him. Yeah. I mean, when you throw 100 and then you have a cutter off of it that's 94, 95 and a slider off of that that's 91 to 93, just here it is, dude. Hit it. And most guys can't. So it's incredibly impressive. What or whom do we credit now for the Cruz improvements in command? I mean, you obviously can go to Brian Johnson, I believe is his name, the pitching coach in Omaha. He's worked with a lot of these guys. And he's incredibly impressive at what he does. And this is another notch in the belt for Brian Sweeney and Zach Bove. They are incredible at what they do in coaching these pitchers and developing these pitchers. And it's not just it's the development as well, because everybody develops, right? I mean, we've seen developments from Michael Walker. We've seen it from Seth Lugo. It's at all areas of their game. And I do think there is just an element of, dude, just let's figure out how to throw strikes, because when you're in the zone, guys can't square you up. I do think there's a big element of that. I mean, the pitching development in this organization across the board has taken leaps and bounds over the last few years, ever since they decided to move on from Cal Eldred. They brought in Brian Sweeney and Zach Bove. Paul Gibson has made changes at the minor league level. Brian Johnson's done a great job in AAA, and they're just churning out pitchers now. I mean, who would have thought a couple years ago that Noah Cameron would be a very, very good big league starter? I certainly didn't see that a couple of years ago, and now we're seeing proof of concept that it can work. And Luinder Avila is still kind of waiting in the wings. There are guys in the lower levels that throw the ball really well that they're just going to continue to develop. So it's a welcome sign for this organization that they're continuing to be able to turn out these pitchers. Then and now it's just a matter of, can the hitting development match it? Because that's the biggest concern right now, both maybe at the major league level, but also in the minor league side. It's kind of dipped back after the Witts, Vinnies, MJ, Prado, like those guys, when they were awesome in the minor leagues. It just hasn't been the same since. So that's just something to watch moving forward. I'm kind of late on a break here, so we're going to take the full DraftKings ad. Enjoy Tucker Franklin, and we'll be right back.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Folks, it's playoff time, and if you're still just watching the games, then you're missing out. With Pick 6 from DraftKings, you can turn your hoops knowledge into real cash. Just make your picks, track your score, and if you hit all 6, you're looking at bigger payouts than Prize Picks flex plays. Nobody's dropping better payouts than Pick 6. Hit 6 picks, and that's 25 times your cash. And if you beat your competition, you could be looking at a 500 times bag in your pocket. And right now, new customers can get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. Here's what you got to do. The playoffs are on, so why not take a shot at making a little money while you're watching? Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins, only on Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdictions. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for everybody that has hopped in the chat right now. If you're watching this and you have not liked the video, please do. It helps more people see it. Thank you very much, everybody, and cheers on a Thursday night. All right, Royals win 4-1 in the day game on Thursday, all led by homers. All 4 runs coming on homers. They worked some counts early. It was like a bullpen-ish day for it was more like an opener and a bulk guy is what it ended up being for Texas. But they saw a bunch of pitches against Sean Armstrong, worked 3 of the top 4 guys, worked 3-2 counts. Bobby ends up with a walk. Vinny works a great at-bat, ends up crushing the ball on a line out to right field, 2-0 lead early. And the man of the hour comes up, right? Jac Caglianone comes up in that second inning, leading off, facing Jacob Latz. It's facing a lefty. And this is where some of the development for Jack has come and what he's needed to work on. And I think this first pitch was kind of emblematic of that, or this first at-bat. What we've seen a lot early on in his big league career has been kind of a very standard sort of pitching procedure, especially with young guys. They're just trying to bust him in with fastballs and sinkers in to see if he can get around on it, and then, get ahead on him with that. And then it's just flip breaking balls away, or flip breaking balls away early to see if he'll chase and expand. And then you have everything kind of, there for you at your disposal because he's already shown he'll expand in this at bat. First pitch from Jacob Latz, fastball away, spits on it. Second pitch was that breaking ball that I talked about, that early count breaking ball that he'll sometimes see, flips it away. And he spits on it. And not like it was a clean take. He was ready to go, but held up, having strong forearms, does that. Fouls off a high fastball, swings through another fastball, so it's 2-2. And Jacob Latz goes for the strikeout, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna elevate here and either get him to swing and miss, foul it away, and then probably go back breaking ball punch out is what he's thinking. Instead, he throws a fastball about shoulder, almost neck high on Caglianone, and he barrels it. It's a homer. So you see kind of the Jekyll and Hyde of Jac Caglianone here. Like, yeah, he chased it, but he still hit a homer. Like, it's crazy. And that's why I've talked about it before, that it kind of flippantly talking about how the chase doesn't bother me as much, like some of the chase stuff. And I guess I should explain that a little further. So what I mean is, and Matt Contreras talked about it, I think JJ and other people have talked about, like, he is such a unique, like, body type. His arms are so long that he can chase and get away with it in a lot of spots. Like, it almost kind of mirrors like Vlad Sr. in a way, like where Vladimir Guerrero Sr. could hit anything, no matter where it was, because his arms were so long and he could just get the barrel to it. He just had this innate ability to find the baseball with the center, with the sweet spot of the bat. Cags has that same sort of thing. Like, you can throw that pitch up there, he'll still find a way to hit it. Like, I've watched him take a ball that's, I don't know, that far off the plate away and serve it down the left field line like 105 miles an hour. You know, I've seen him take a ball that's a ball and a half low, and we saw it in that White Sox game where he went 4 for 4. Like, there was a ball that was pretty low in there, and he has a 110 up the middle. Like, there's just this incredible bat to ball ability, no matter where it is, that this guy has. And it was just kind of a matter of time until we see something crazy like that. The ball was 4 feet above the ground. I mean, it was the second highest, like, ball that's been hit for a home run this year, highest in Royals history, according to Sarah Langs. Now, do I want Jac Caglianone to swing at those pitches all the time? No. But there's two things here. One, obviously, you got the barrel to it, it's a home run. So, like, the result is what it is. But secondly, it was a confident swing. He got his ace swing off, which we haven't seen a ton from him. Or like the ace swing has kind of been a single, or it's a hard hit ground ball. But we saw him get an ace swing off and hit a homer, and I think he needed that, right? Like, he needed to see one go over the fence. Who knows if he's gone 14 games at any point in his career without a homer. Going back to probably the Little League, right? And he admitted, like, you try not to think about it, but yeah, like, it starts to wear on you. Like, when you are a guy that not relies on power, but it is a major part of your arsenal, and it's not happening for you, like, I would imagine he's pressing a little bit. We saw some of that. And just trying to make it happen. Just, I'm going to swing and just maybe I barrel it and it's going to go out by accident. That's kind of what happened here. And you could see, like, he gave a big fist pump and smiling, like he knew he needed it. It's a weight off his shoulders. And this is where I think Jack could really break out. Like, he gets that first one out of the way. It's like, oh, thank God. All right, I got one. Now let's go. Later in the game, and I'll get to Michael Walker here in a minute. I want to stay on Jack here. This is the other part of it. And he did this a lot in the minor leagues. Where, and this is something pitchers I think are going to learn pretty quickly. When Jack's hot and when he's feeling it a little bit, you can't flip breaking balls, get me over breaking balls early. Yeah, he sure looked like he was sitting on it. He probably was. I mean, it was kind of an A swing, 100%, because he hit it 440 feet. Like, even his B swings go like 410. But dudes are going to learn, like, when he's hot and when he's feeling himself a little bit, you can't just flip breaking balls over like that, because he'll smoke it. And sure, he may have been sitting on it, but still, like, that's obviously having a good game plan. But that's also a spot where, again, he gets his ace swing, a confident ace swing. Once he starts playing with confidence, guys, it's going to be special to see what he can do once he really gets going. And this might be the game that gets him going. We'll see what he's able to do in San Diego. You know, that's a good pitching staff over there, so we'll see what they have. But, I mean, incredibly impressive. We knew that he had this in him. I talked about, like, he's going to hit a home run 440 soon, and it's going to be awesome, and that's exactly what he did. And he hit 2 of them in the same game, fourth Royal ever to do that, first since 1999, for their guys' first 2 home runs to be in the same game. An incredibly impressive performance. The only knock today was he flubbed a ball in right field, but that's really the first miscue for a guy that's played probably 25 games out there total. in his career. Yeah, I was hoping for a breakout game. This was a breakout game. Yeah. And I do think the other thing that's important to recognize as well is he got the off day on Wednesday. He needed that, I think. You could tell he was searching, he was pressing, he was swinging a lot, just trying to make something happen and forcing the issue rather than letting the game come to him. Today, he kind of let the game come to him a little bit, and that's where you see the 2 home runs come from. And that's the mentality shift that he's going to have to continue to recognize. But I don't think he's too far off. Like that, you see the power play, the hard hit balls are going to continue to be there. The strikeout rate's still in a decent enough place. Just continue to work counts, let pitchers come to you, and then also realize there are a lot of times where pitchers are going to be afraid of you, and just take your walk, take your base. It's only walked one time in 55, 60 plate appearances at this point. Like to see that number come up a little bit as well. But obviously, if you can do damage on a pitch at your neck, like swing, man, I guess. Like that's just what it is. Pretty unbelievable performance from Jac today. Michael Walker was really solid again today as well. Really, 2 out of his last 3. I mean, 2 out of his last 3 starts, he's taken a no hitter into the 2 out of his last 4. He's taken a no hitter into the 6th inning. The only base runners up until the first hit by Wyatt Langford were the error on Cags out and right and 2 walks in the 5th, but then settles back down. He gets through the 6th, and then you turn it over to the bullpen. Schreiber, Zerpa, Estevez, good to go. Another game where he had obviously the changeup working. We know what Michael Wacha does. Like it's fastball changeup and lets everything else play off of it, but not a lot of swing. 13 total swing and miss, but not unlike Chris Bubich. Didn't have a heavy, like only 3 whiffs on the changeup, but he had 3 on the fastball, 3 on the cutter, 2 on slider, 2 on the curveball. So he had, he was working everything in there. Had the fastball up to 95, 96 today. So a solid start, a good bounce back from kind of getting roughed up by the A's. And it's not like this lineup and excuse me, pardon me. This lineup of the Rangers should be so much better than they are, but they're a poor offensive team, kind of like the Royals, like where it's kind of puzzling like why this team isn't as good as it used to be. So they've been kind of in a similar spot, and the Royals took advantage. They took advantage of a lineup that'll swing and miss a lot, that'll strike out quite a bit. And to their credit, you get the job done. And even if this isn't a team that is, up at the top of the pecking order in the American League, like you got to beat the teams in front of you. And you didn't do that against the A's, but you take it out on the Rangers. And now you're going to go play the Padres, who are, 39-34. They're a really good team. You got a ton of talented guys over there. And with this stretch that they've had, they're a game and a half out of a wild card spot now. Like it's happened that quick, guys. They're 1 game below 500. They're 1 back in the loss column to the Twins. They're 1 back in the they're 2 back in the loss column of Seattle and Cleveland. Like they're right there. And that's why, like, yes, they were kind of in a dire situation. It felt like, over the weekend, because it was just like, okay, how soon could this spiral on us? And they've been able to stop the bleeding, at least for now. They got to continue it this weekend. They got to get back into it, but they're right there. And only 4 games in the win column separate the best team in the wild card and the Royals right now. Like that's it. So the Royals have to take advantage of kind of this muddying of the American League for this wild card spot, but it's all right there. Everything that this team believes they can do is still right in front of them. It's still right there. It's just a matter of can they take it? Can they do it? And we'll see what they're able to do this weekend. It's obviously going to be a tough test against the Padres. They're on the road. But that's a fun ballpark to play in. I've gone out there before. Haven't seen a game there, but I've been to San Diego. It's a fun city. It's a good, it's a fun little spot. So I'm curious what they're able to do here. This is going to be a tough test. Thoughts on Zerpa's recent stretch? Velo up, K's up, getting more whiffs. Yes, like that. I should have mentioned him. I mentioned him briefly in an episode or 2 ago, but I just want to show again just how he has been over this last stretch. Like I think the problem is with talking about Angel Zerpa is people still have too much of there's just as much of like, what is he doing out here? Why is he in the big leagues? And holy crap, he's pretty good. Like, it's almost equal. And obviously it's easier to be negative than it is positive. So there's like this preconceived notion of what Angel Zerpa is. But this is more in line with what he was at the end of last season when he was helping the Royals compete for a playoff spot. Really since, what was it? I'm trying to find the runs here. So he got blown up by the Red Sox on the 10th. He gave up 4 hits, 5 runs, 2 home runs, and just got annihilated. But since then, and he didn't pitch for like a week after that. So since, let me go to 5/16 here. So it's since the 16th of May, and that's a fairly decent sample for a reliever. That's 16 1/3. It's 16 1/3, 14 strikeouts to 3 walks, which is huge for him. A .55 ERA. The FIP's only 2.09, and I know that difference seems like it's quite a bit, but when you're talking about that low of an ERA and that low of a FIP, the regression is still like he's in good shape. Only 8 total hits given up in that 16 innings, only the 1 run, and that was on 5/28 against Cincinnati. And that was it. So he hasn't given up a run in June, and we're seeing the strikeouts up. It's 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 strikeouts to 2 walks during that stretch. So the velo is in a good spot, as Royals Data Dugout mentioned. I mean, you'll see him up in 97, 98. And that's always been my thing about him is the stuff is so good and it grades out really well that, like, he should be so much better than he actually is for the most part. Like, the stuff is too good. It's exploding arm side run, 96 to 98. The kind of sweeping slider with the differentials he's able to get on it. The speed differential is like 10, 12 miles an hour. When he's able to locate both of those things in the zone, he's really tough to hit. So we'll see how he continues to progress, but I'll say it is encouraging to see him do this because they need Angel Zerpa, right? Like, you don't have many other lefty options in the bullpen right now. There's Evan Sisk is still going to be a guy that bounces back and forth and kind of going to be a guy that I don't know if he's ever going to be a true big league regular, but with the way he throws and the funk that comes with it, there's value in having a guy like that, but I don't think it's over like a long stretch. Sam Long is still on the rehab assignment, and I don't know if we need to see him in the big leagues again. And Daniel Lynch, as good as he has pitched at times this year, and the ERA to FIP difference tells me that he's going to regress at some point. And even though he's pitched well as of late, I'm worried that it's kind of going to be a ticking time bomb situation when it's really going to blow up, especially when the expected numbers don't necessarily reflect how good he's actually been. So it's just something to consider. But I'm incredibly impressed with what I've seen from Angel Zerpa and this team over this week. They got off the mat. Now let's see if they can stay up and not get knocked back down, to continue to that metaphor there. Let's see if I can get some probables here. Last I checked, the Padres hadn't announced their starters for the week, but I'm going to take a look here. So, okay, they have them announced now. I checked a couple hours ago. They didn't. It's going to be Lorenzen versus Nick Pivetta on Friday, and that game's on Apple TV. So, unless you have Apple TV. So, if you're like me, you're going to be listening to Jake Eisenberg and Steve Stewart on the radio. That's what I'm going to be doing. Saturday, it's Noah Cameron versus Dylan Cease. And then on Sunday, it's going to be Seth Lugo and Randy Vasquez. You got a chance to win 2 here, I think. I don't know which 2, but we'll see what they have. Let's see what they have in them. Let's see how confident they are after what we saw this week against the Rangers. If that was what it took to just put up some crooked numbers, see some balls go over the fence, this team's going to continue to pitch. We know that. But can the offense just continue to do enough? And it looks like Bobby's heating up a little bit. Vinny's getting back on the right track. Hit some balls hard this week. Just some tough luck. Mike Hell continuing to do what he's doing. And then Cags. I mean, obviously, if he gets going, then it completely changes the complexion of this offense and what it can do and what 1 through 6 can provide for this team. So we'll see what they got. I'm excited for what this weekend could bring. If they continue to get going and they, maybe you get a sweep, you win this series, you come back home, you got the Rays and the Dodgers come to town. Huge 6-game set. So you got to stack some wins here because the Rays are a much better team now than they were when you swept them in Tampa in April. So we'll see what they got. But I'm obviously incredibly excited for this weekend and what this team can do. Toast game to Jac Caglianone, first 2 big league home runs today. An incredible performance and hit tape measure shots, did some incredible Jac Caglianone things. Like there are certain like that home run that he hit was one of the there's only a few guys in the league that could have ever done it. And one note to go from Royals Data Dugout on Randy Vasquez. He's got one of the largest ERA to xERA differentials. He's due for someone to put it on him. I want to look at that number just to make sure that I can have that, so that I have that for the back of my mind. So according to Fangraphs, yeah, it's a 3.70 ERA and a 5.88 expected ERA. FIPS 5.53. Yeah, someone's got to put it on him. You can't let that guy shove against you on Sunday. So that's certainly one to watch. Hopefully they're able to continue this offensive trend, and we'll go from there. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out here. We'll talk on Sunday night, 8:30 Central, live on YouTube, and we will talk soon. Hopefully we're talking about some more winning baseball. Take care, everybody.